The story starts with our hero called Dagon being intimidated by classmate bullies. Our hero, tired of being bothered, tells them to stop, which caused the anger of one of the bullies, who grabbed our hero and gave him a bad beatdown. A bully's friend tells him to stop because the teacher is coming. He informed him too late though, because he caught them immediately. Dagon thought he would help him, but the teacher acts like a Burke who saw nothing, asking them to stop playing and take a seat to start the class. During the class, the bullies start putting sticky notes on our hero's back that said, "I don't have a mom." Dagon, who was devastated, had thoughts about none would help him. Finally, the class ends and the break starts. Then a bully who enters into the classroom sees the note in the back of our hero, and feeling some empathy for him, then takes the other guy who attacked the boy first and beats him up. Dagon felt shocked that someone helped him, and realized he was a total loser. So he chose to become stronger and started to train every day in the Saitama style. And months later, the results of his hard work started to show. He began to hunt down the bullies of his class, but he ended to collapse and abandoning the school because of that. So he started to work part-time at a store and getting prepared for his exam. In a scenario change, we got introduced to a woman who talks about the violence at schools, and says that even when some ijime, which means bullies, get reprimanded, they won't stop, and the best way to solve it is to attack fire with fire. For this, a secretly placed bully would be get in charge of putting others in order, and the name of this project would be Ijime in charge of Ijime. Now back with Dagon, who was at the store at the time, studying for the exam. A big guy with tattoos enters in the store with his girlfriend to buy beer packs and cigarettes. But Dagon knows he's a high school student, and as a good citizen he asks him for his ID card. So the guy acts like dumb, telling the old story about leaving it at home. Our hero is not stupid, so he says he cannot sell that stuff to the guy, as this one starts to throw the money. Dagon asks if he doesn't understand that he's not selling anything, and the furious guy takes our hero from the shirt. Just when the store's owner comes out and tells Dagon to solve the things with the guy outside. Now out of the store, the guy has Dagon cornered to the wall and asks him if he wants to get beat up. Time when Dagon tells him that he has 3 seconds to release him. And the guy's girlfriend starts laughing, so the furious guy tries to smack him down, but Dagon with a single hit cuts his lights. The scared girl helps her boyfriend, and the guy finally wakes up and notices that Dagon is like nothing happened. The wacko tells his girl to call his mates to teach Dagon a lesson, and the girl runs to call them while the guy starts saying stuff and threatening him to make some time before they arrive. But Dagon, now tired of foolishness, takes him from the neck, and the guy in pain just falls on his knees. When his pals arrive, they start laughing at him, and a fat guy appears trying to hit our hero, but Dagon gives him such a sick smack that puts him on the ground unconscious. Crazy hits start to rain then, and the last guy remaining was a bald guy who recognizes our hero and asks him if he's the Dagon who went to school with him. Knowing he was the leader of the Hinchin Zone, he just asks him for pardon, when our hero advises them that if they come back to annoy at the store, he will kill them. Dagon, who is now walking home, bumps into the girl of the foundation, where she introduces herself and tells everything about the project to our hero, inviting him to join it, but then Dagon tells her it's a complete stupidity. But the woman tells back that she's been investigating him and that he's the most suitable person for the job and that he's more desperate than anyone else. The director whispers in his ear that with the project he could fix the mistakes of his past. Time when Dagon thinks about it again and finally accepts the deal. In the next scene, we see our hero at school introducing himself to his new classmates, and the girls fall for him. The bullies of the class get jealous and already have him in sight. Dagon sits and says hi to the guy aside who's called Kim Minso and chat for a bit, but get interrupted by a fat guy called Hujon who hits Minso in the head and tells him to go for his sandwich cause he was now the new errand boy since his friend had left the school. But Minso refuses since the class is about to start, and the furious Hujon starts beating him while Dagon watches how Minso is hidden, wanting to help, but he remembers that he's unable because of the rules of the project. Hujon asks Dagon if he wants to go with Minso, which Dagon replies saying that one errand boy is enough, asking him for the money. Hujon grabs Dagon from the head saying that he has to pay with his own money, and if he doesn't have parents to give him some. Dagon immediately hits Hujon and says the stupid rules don't matter because punches are the king of the school. Everyone is stunned by the beatdown Dagon just gave to Hujon, when Hongmin comes up cursing our already mad hero furiously, and Dagon just beats him up. We see our hero saying after a while if a sandwich was so tasty to end like this, and Hujon asks if he feels the boss for beating them, but that he wasn't the class leader. And right after Manjo, the class 1 leader, arrives and tells our hero that he made a big fuss on his first school day. Manjo says he won't fight, but Dagon, with the fighting experience he has, sees that Manjo has a surprise attack posture, saying that it's good manners to say his name. Just when our hero was about to answer, Manjo tries to kick him in the crotch, but it's a catch because Manjo strikes him with a punch in the face. Dagon rapidly learns his attack pattern, which consists in confusing the adversary, and once he's tired just finishes him with a punch that knocks him out. The next scene, we can see the director of the project watching the teacher's room waiting to see how our hero's doing on his first day, and we see a girl called Ina watching the director while she goes questioning why is she there. Back with Dagon, we see he's threatening Manjo and his friends that if they annoy anyone again he will destroy them. As soon as Manjo was defeated, the whisper ran to the other classes in which were shown some guys watching the video of Manjo's beatdown, and we get introduced to the Class 3 leader called Sinsango, who is anxious for meeting our hero. The second day of school starts and we see Digon striving on his studying to have a new life type, while we now see Manjo and his folks talking about the other class leaders that will come to fight without Hero because he was now the Class 1 leader. And then the leader of Class 2 gets into the classroom, a guy called Kim Yong-young who starts laughing at Manjo for being defeated, and Manjo, who is mad, gets up to fight, but he's interrupted by Digon, who says they're making noise and not letting him study. The leader of Class 2 goes for Digon to annoy him, but Digon takes his hand and presses it so hard that Kim starts to cry and then tries to hit him, but Digon knocks him out with a single punch and with a sadistic face tells everyone to leave. Some minutes later, the leader of Class 3 called Sinsango goes where Digon is and after a long chat challenges him to a fight with him after school. After a while we see Digon and Minso sitting at the dining hall. While eating, they're observed by everyone, where Manjo and his mates take seat with our hero. During the meal, Manjo tells Digon to be careful with Sinsango because he already have fought him, and he was giving a beatdown, but when he thought everything was over, Sinsango applied the dishonorable move of destroying his nuts, after which Sinsango accepted the defeat, but without it he would be massacred. A bit later, some Insango's henchmen start provocating our hero, and just when he was mad enough to beat them, he remembers a conversation with the director in which she said that if he does a good job he would receive great benefits, and remembers that the rules of the project are not just to keep them under control but also to still stand, and he would be kicked out to his previous lifestyle with the littlest problem. So Digon prefers to not get in trouble and frees the guy leaving the dining hall in a bad mood to take some fresh air, but then runs into the same previous guy and knowing them alone takes him from the neck. But just before mushing him, the guy tells him the rule of not beating other classes members before defeating the class leader. Anyways, Digon doesn't matter and mushes him before telling him to carry him to Sinsango's. The guy explains he's having fun with his custom boxing bags, but our hero is guessing that he's actually beating other students, so he runs to Class 3, where finds Sinsango punching weak students, and now full of angry Digon tells him to not attack so weak people but strong ones, and then he starts beating up Sinsango's friends to be in the same condition. After thrashing them, Sinsango realizes our hero's not a common person, and asks others to move the tables to have better space for fighting, when the fight news spread out and everyone's going to see it. When the fight finally starts, Sinsango starts throwing jabs and hook strikes to our hero without success, who rapidly learns his pattern and after throws a direct punch so powerful that Sinsango can barely block, rapidly starts attacking with direct hits and low kicks that he can barely resist. A change of scenario let us see a camera that nothing more than the Foundation's president was observing with. Sinsango, who was already weak for the pain in one of his legs, wasn't able to attack anymore, so he got cornered and beaten like a boxing bag by Digon and falls to the floor, defeated and humiliated. One of his friends tells that Sinsango doesn't go to competitions because he doesn't like to get hit and just feels stronger by beating weak people. Finally, Sinsango admits the defeat and everyone shocked by the beat one recognize that Digon is very strong. In a room watching the cameras there are Director Lai and the President, who says that he likes our hero but also tells Director Lai to remove the rules, and she asks why, but he replies that our hero is like a cat and needs to be a little more free, so that's in her hands. In other scene we're shown the other class leaders, Pak Do-him of Class 4, Lai Sun-gal of Class 9, Yuji Seok of Class 5 and Bonwung of Class 6. Now back with our hero. He's getting out of class with Manjo and his friends, where they tell him to be careful with the other classes because they see him as a threat for have taken 3 of them. Digon takes it easy and gets into the car with Director Lai, and while they're leaving, Ina is asking to herself what's the relationship between them. Back into them, we see them talking and Director Lai is telling him that the project rules are being reduced. When they finally arrive, we see the house where Digon is going to live in and the credit card she gives to him for buying what he needs. In a change of scene, we see that Director Lai surveils our hero 24/7, and the next day he gets reprimanded by the teacher for fighting, and Ina was close, feeling curious about the relationship between the director and our hero, so she chooses to follow him after class. After another change, we see Yuji Seok and Sussy, where the subordinates of Sinsango enter, asking for help about what to do without hero, saying that if he continues like this he will defeat everyone. Bonwung was there playing with his phone, and now mad he gives them a hit in the face telling them he's going to take it when Yuji says he's right and Bomb says it's needed to manipulate others to take care of Digon. And this one was studying while being surveilled by Ina and a fat man, who finally leave cause they consider him a normal guy. Ina follows our hero like a stalker, and we see in scene the previous fat guy talking with Bonwung and telling them that if they defeat our hero they'll be the other class leaders. After leaving, the guys see it as a great opportunity and just realize that our hero was walking around. They follow him, but Digon notices and tries to lose them. But Ina, who is following him, is seen by the fat guy, and after telling the others to keep going, she's caught thinking she was in love, but not scared. She sprays pepper gas to his eyes, and as he screams in pain, the others arrive and surround Ina. But just like a hairy chest macho, Digon comes to defend her, but before fighting he tells them to go to a quieter place. While going to the place, they run into a couple guys from Bonjeon Technical High School called Junman and Cha Jinwo, who told them to get out, after what the fat says they're Bonwung's subordinates, and since they both knew Bonwung they leave. Ina, who is leaving, is told that she can't by the fat guy. D-Gun tells him to let go, but the fat Yanjin says no. She was feeling curious about the hero, so she stays to watch the fight. Yanjin, feeling macho and believing they four could win, starts joking, blowing cigarette smoke to his face, where the hero, now furious, takes his face and drops him unconscious to the ground, defeating the other ones right after. In another scene, Yuji Seok and Bongwon were at a cyber cafe where they get a call from the guys of the other school telling them that the whole group was defeated, and later when Yanjin wakes up, our hero asks him who sent them for him and if it was Bongwon because he heard his name when the fat was talking with the guys of the other school. And Yanjin refuses to answer because he's afraid of being beaten, but finally he tells the truth since he's more afraid of D-Gun now. In a left-right later, and D-Gun tells Yanjin to bring the bastard Bongwon. The next day, D-Gun, tired of waiting, goes furious to Class 6 and takes Yanjin strongly from the arm when Susie, the queen of Class 6, appears and asks him why does he come to disturb, to which D-Gun replies that it's not her business, and she smacks him in the face, causing his glasses to fall, and after seeing him without glasses she falls in love with him. In that moment, Bongwon appears, beating Yanjin and asking D-Gun what's the matter with him. Then our hero throws a punch, but Yuji Seok stops him and tells him to calm down, to which D-Gun says it's because of the guys they sent to annoy him. Bongwon, as a coward, acts like innocent, punching Yanjin and telling D-Gun it was his idea and not of him. Bongwon asks if D-Gun has any evidence to accuse him, after what the hero prefers to leave. D-Gun spent all the class angry knowing it was actually Bongwon, but he couldn't do anything since he would get tagged as the bad guy, so he looks for a way to take revenge. In another scene, we see Bongwon beating down the guys of the first group and calling the people from the other school to solve the thing with D-Gun. In the last chapter, we saw Bongwon making a call to his friends from Bonjon School asking them to solve the issue with D-Gun, in which Juman accepts the deal, and while talking get interrupted by Jinwo, who says he wants to be alone with the girl from the fight who is in A. Since Bongwon doesn't know her, he asks Yanjin, who says that she is innocent and has nothing to do with it. But Bongwon doesn't give a fart and tells him just to bring her with Cha Jinwo. Yanjin is against it and says she's from Class 9 where the leader is Lee Sun-gal, but Bongwon tells him to not worry about since he's a nerd who he could finish anytime and to just care about bringing in A and D-Gun. After that, we see Yanjin begging for pardon to D-Gun, and we can also see Manjo and his folks talking about what a legend our hero is for beating 4 guys at a time and that they want to be his friends. D-Gun, feeling a little bad for the beat-up that Bongwon gave to Yanjin, and tells him to say sorry to Ina, to which says yes, and also invites him to go eat tteokbokki as an apology, and the hero ends to accept. After a while, we see Yanjin saying sorry to Ina and inviting her to eat tteokbokki, but he asks why should she even go, and Yanjin replies that it's to apologize with her and D-Gun. When we see how Ina's friend called Ara comes out because she heard the name of D-Gun and accepts the invitation because she's obsessed with our hero. Ina says there's no need to go because it will be awkward, but Ara starts begging, so Ina ends up accepting. Changing the scene, we see Yanjin taking them to the place that Bongwon had established, which is a lonely street. D-Gun, now tired, asks him how's the restaurant called because everything's closed. Yanjin gets nervous not knowing what to answer. The guys from Bonjon School arrive right quick, and a furious D-Gun looks at Yanjin because he took them to a trap, where he excuses and says he couldn't do anything. The angry Ina shouts that at least he didn't have to involve Ara, who was innocent. The guys from Bonjon were watching the scene and noticed that Yanjin was on his knees and say that's why he could defeat 4 guys together. Jinwo tells them to not underestimate him because he's actually strong. And we see a huge guy called Jin Yunwan challenging our hero, to who D-Gun asks who the hell is talking to, and then gets noticed that Yunwan has a problem to focus his eyes. Anyways, he runs to attack D-Gun, but he applies a neck brace that ties him. Yun-Jan tells him to surrender, but he gets unconscious in seconds. D-Gun, angry, asks him if they thought he would free him if he surrendered, and says that they didn't care about involving innocent people and he would kill them for crossing the line. The other guys start laughing at him, asking if he's stupid since he just defeated one of them and there were 9 left to beat, so they surround our hero, and D-Gun, who was cornered, looks for a wall and tackles a guy, then gives his lights off and start attacking the others, who are consumed by fear watching how they're massacred. Jinwo tells to not worry since they win in number, but it's useless cause they get beat up anyways. D-Gun, who was exhausted, knew he had to finish that quick, and the only 2 remaining were Young Man and Jinwo, when they admit he's a monster but is a shame cause it's his end. And we see that more people from Bonjon School arrive with baseball bats, and when D-Gun thought he was lost, Minso comes out with Manjo and his friends to help him. D-Gun asks them how they knew about the place, then Minso says Yanjin told them about. The young man gets furious for being betrayed and says he's telling Bongwon, but Yanjin Mo, now tired to be treated like crap, says he doesn't give a fart and joins our hero. D-Gun thanks them for the gesture but says they are less in number and the guys even bring weapons, just when Daddy Manjo tells to not worry because they came armed as well. The fight finally starts, and the first to attack is Daddy Manjo, who makes butter of a guy. Combat win, which the scene becomes a camp battle with bangs raining all over, and Jinwo, watching how they're massacred, our hero asks, when are they starting? Young Man tackles but he's stopped by Dagon, during which this one attempts to hit but gets kicked by Jinwoo, and Young Man takes the chance to grab him behind and apply a back suplex, but Dagon grabs hardly the wall, stopping the suplex and trying to escape the braces, and finally gets free, but trying to throw a punch he's stopped by a Jinwoo's kick that he has to avoid, now tired because he can only defend. But he learns his pattern using that and chooses to better attack Jinwoo, who is beat up and finally knocked out. Then the last guy to defeat was Young Man, who knows himself defeated but tackles, although he gets stopped by a Dagon's punch in the face, who also tackles him and hits simultaneously. When we see Young Man giving up for the pain caused by the attacks, but Dagon, who is furious with them for involving innocents, keeps smashing him and finally tells them to get out of there and never cause trouble again. The fight ends and the tired Dagon thanks everyone for helping him and asks the girls if they are hurt. When Ara takes benefit and acts like hurt, then Dagon, like a Casanova, takes her back. When Ara blushes in nervousness and Dagon says sorry to them for getting them involved, but Ara says it was not his fault. Ina was angry and says it was caused by playing to bully and intimidating others, and asks if they think they're better people than the others since they are all the same for her. She leaves with Ara, and after some minutes we see Ina saying sorry to Ara for her behavior, cause she is grateful for the help but couldn't handle it. She says bye and leaves to visit her brother in the hospital, when we're told about why she acted like that to Dagon, and it's because her bro got into a coma by bullies. After a while we see Bongwon playing with his phone and getting cornered by Yanjinmo and his friend, who want to take revenge from Bong and kick the hell out of him, so he only could run, but then he stumbles and get trapped. Then Yanjin says he's going to pay for everything, so they hit him like a birthday pinata. The next day we see how the Bongwon beatdown video goes viral, and we see Yanjinmo as the new leader of Class 6, but the joy is short because Dagon arrives and congrats him for being the new boss, but offers two options: to fight like a boss and get smashed, or get a punch that finishes all quickly. After what chooses the second option, that is smarter, and gets a punch that leaves him fainted. And Dagon threats them all before leaving that if they bother anyone he's taking care of them. After some time we are told that Dagon has taken 4 classes now, where Manjo and his friends start congratulating him, telling to celebrate it at the cyber cafe, which the hero accepts since they helped him. In a different scene we see Yuji Seok worried about Bongwon for not going to school, when Sussy asks him why she worries if he didn't get into and didn't lose anything, so he has 2 options: not going for the first place or ally with the other leaders, and Yuji says it's a great idea and he will think about it. After that we see Dagon checking on the other classes to keep them under control, and we see that Sussy is mad because she called the hero up, so she feels humiliated and convinces Yuji to ally with the other leaders, to what Yuji agrees, and ends meeting with the other class leaders, who refuse because of several different reasons. The leader of Class 7, Go Songhwa, says it's natural that the strongest reigns. The leader of Class 4, Park Tohim, is a guy who only wants to make money and doesn't want to share the benefits. The leader of Class 8, Kyoakto Sik, asks Yuji how he thought that his plan of allegiance would work, when Yuji got angry and was going to hit him, but La Sun Gong tells them a story they never heard from him. The next day we see Park Tohim gambling and getting crazy for his bad luck and losing that much money, smacking hardly the bald guy, telling him to get up and play again, who surrenders, and Park Tohim tells him with anger that all the money belongs to him for retiring during the game, after what he leaves mad and texting somebody now. Later we see Sussy asking Yuji Seok how was the meeting, and he answers that they will only watch over the hero, and we see that what Lasun said was that it's better to take care of Dagon after the fundraising, that it was the way he became the leader of Class 9, and also the reason why Park Tohim and Go Sunhwa declined the offer, since they're more interested in getting the money of the next fundraising event. And Sussy gets angry for not succeeding at making them ally against our hero. We see Park Tohim in a park talking about ways to make money in the next fundraising, just when his folks tell him that if he wants to make more money he has to dominate as many classes as possible. When Park Tohim says like the genius he is that the best way is to defeat our hero. In that instant we see a couple fat guys who were Park Tohim and his pals' bosses, where they bow to them and Park congrats them because they're making lots in a business, to which the fat replies it's true but the situation is hard now. And we see the bald guy that was hit by Park who hired them to beat them up, and Park laughed asking if that was the big business where they just make a living beating others, where the fat gets angry and throws a punch to Park's face but he doesn't even move. We continue the last chapter where Park Tohim is hit by the fat guy but he didn't even flinch and gives the fat guy a bashing that makes him fly to his mates, where he gets unconscious, towards which everyone is stunned and they friends ask him if he's crazy for doing that, and Park, who is a rebel, asks them why they bothered him, and tells the bald that if he has so much money to hire them he should better give it all to him. The fat's friends ask if he's down to die just for the money, and Park, who is a money lover, says that's correct. After what he starts thrashing the guys, overwhelming them quickly, and the bald who was watching that massacre starts running. Park Tohim, who is observing, gets to chase him, but the fat woke up and after getting a baseball bat starts hitting Park, and gets bumped, but it doesn't last because Park's friends push him and then Tohim gives him a punch that knocks him out. Park Tohim, now calmed, realizes that the bald now ran away. His friends ask if he's okay but Park replies that it was nothing. Changing the scene, we see Dagon at school with Manhwa, where Manhwa asks if he came to school to study or if he actually came with the purpose of getting money from the fundraising. Dagon asks what the hell is he talking about because he doesn't know anything about, and the ex-leader of Class 2 arrives and explains that the funds raised for each student are just a mask for the protection fees the students give to the leader for protection against other bullies, and the more classes he demands, the more money he will get. Manhwa thanks him for the explanation but asks why did he come, and the guy just says he came with the purpose of sharing the money with Daddy Dagon and he's giving him his strength. The furious Dagon tells him to get out, and as the dude he is, he chooses to remove the fees, but everyone says he's not able to do that since some classes pay to the second grade students who also pay to the third grade ones, and if he do this, the whole school will be his enemy. But as any hairy chest macho, he says there's no problem, and Jinmo arrives to tell someone is looking for him. Then we see Dagon walking with Jinmo to the place, but Dagon, who doesn't trust Yajin yet, asks if it's another trap. But as we know now, Jinmo considers the hero a friend and says he wouldn't do that to him, and we see that the one who was looking for him was Sussy, and the angry Dagon decides to punch Jinmo. Sussy tells to let him go cause he didn't do anything wrong. But Dagon refuses since he can do what he wants when Jinmo is the leader of Class 6. The hero takes Jinmo of the hand, but Sussy, who hates to be disobeyed, does the same. Just when we get into another scene where some guys are with the leader of second year of the middle road group called ManhwaRecapped, who is about to beat them up for not paying him. And we see it is right Yagan telling them that's why they have to pay on time. Park Toem, who is with them, is impressed by the force of ManhwaRecapped and the amount of money he receives, and we see them anxious for taking Dagon's classes and making more money. ManhwaRecapped tells him that working so hard doesn't have any goods and recommends him to find his path, and Park Toem says his plan is to domain as most classes as possible by defeating our hero. ManhwaRecapped tells him it's good and to not delay that combat anymore. Back into Dagon and Sussy, who were outside fighting for having Jinmo, where we see Jinmo enjoying the moment, who doesn't enjoy much because Sussy notices his perverted face and smacks him down, telling him to get out of her sight. Then Sussy takes advantage and takes Dagon from the shirt, cornering him against the wall. Dagon, who is tired, tells her to free him and to not waste his time. But Sussy, who is melting for the hero, tells him with an ashamed face that it was an accident to call him Appa last time. Dagon, who is slow at catching hits, thinks the one she was calling Appa was her big brother of the other class, and Sussy, ashamed, asks if he's that arrogant because of his beauty. Dagon, tired of this, takes her from the hands, and Sussy says she's telling her brother, to what Dagon replies there's no problem, inviting her to call him now. Then we see how ManhwaRecapped arrives with Park Toem, and Wang recognizes Sussy as Baekso-juk's little sister and tells them to make those vulgarities somewhere else. Funny context because ManhwaRecapped thinks that for the way Sussy is taken by hands and the perverted expression she has. Tired of the situation, Dagon asks what the hell is he talking about and calls him bald. ManhwaRecapped hates to be called like that, and Dagon has a flashback with his boss and says sorry for what he said, because his boss at the store also had hair loss and that's why he apologizes, when stupid Park Toem starts laughing. Yagan, watching ManhwaRecapped about to lose control, tells our hero to better get out. ManhwaRecapped, who is about to explode, also tells him to, but Dagon, who is a rebel, refuses, saying he arrived first and tells them to go. Sussy saw that ManhwaRecapped was about to start a fight and calls her brother, who is a big fish at school where everyone respects him, and Yagan with his cold brain says it's enough, and then we see Sussy and Dagon leaving. Park Toem is fascinated of the way Dagon challenged ManhwaRecapped and cannot wait anymore to attack. He rapidly goes for Dagon, who notices that and takes Sussy aside to protect her from the hit and start dodging all the strikes by Park since Sussy was there and could get hurt. Yagan gets worried about being involved with hitting Sussy, the Baekso-juk's sister, and takes her to a safe place. Dagon, free of taking care of her, starts throwing multiple attacks to Park Toem until dropping him down. Toem recognizes he's ridiculously strong, but his arm is still in pain for the fight with the fat guys. Dagon, who is getting warm, starts taking his jacket off and saying that he would better be okay of his arm because the actual fight is starting.